Elen, Scylla, Lumen, Omen Tiovo. Today I will be talking about the kings of Durin's line, or the Longbeards. The first king would be Durin the First, or Durin the Deathless. He awoke sometime in the years of the trees, and he established Khazad-dûm in the Misty Mountains, and he would die some years into the First Age. The next king we know of is Durin II, though very little is known about him. Durin III is the next known king, and ruled around the mid-Second Age, and was given a ring of power from either Celebrimbor or Sauron himself. After the fall of Eregion, Durin sent his army to aid the survivors led by Elrond. Durin IV also led the dwarves of Khazad-dûm during the War of the Last Alliance, being the next known dwarven king. Durin V is another king we know very little about. Durin VI ruled throughout the mid to late Third Age until his death in 1980. It was Durin's greed that awoke the Balrog from slumber, and this Balrog slew Durin. Durin's son, Nain I, ruled for 1 year before he too would be slain. Thrain I, who ruled from 1981 to 2190, led Durin's folk out of Khazad-dûm into exile, and eventually to Erebor. Thorin I ruled from 2190 to 2289, and he led the dwarves to the Grey Mountains, where more of their folk gathered. Little is known of Glowin's rule other than it was from 2289 to 2385. The same can be said of Owain, who ruled from 2385 to 2488. It was during Nain II's rule that the War of the Dwarves and Dragons began in 2570. After Nain, Dain I ruled from 2585 to 2589, when he was killed by a cold drake outside of his mountain halls. Thror ruled from 2589 to 2790. He led his people from the Grey Mountains back to Erebor, where they remained until the coming of Smaug. Thror would be murdered by Azog when he ventured into Moria. Thrain ruled from 2790 to 2841, and he led the dwarves in their revenge in the War of the Dwarves and Orcs. After that victory, he led his people to the Blue Mountains. Thrain would disappear while on his way to reclaim Erebor. Thorin Oakenshield became king after his father's disappearance in 2841 to 2941. He led the quest of Erebor, and he would die in the Battle of Five Armies. Thorin's cousin, Dain Ironfoot, became the next king from 2941 to 3019. He led Durin's folk in the War of the Ring, and he would fall in the Battle of Dale. Thorin Stonehelm, Dain's son, became king after him, and he led the dwarves to victory against the Easterlings during the siege of Erebor. The last known king of Durin's folk, and the last king overall, would be Durin VII, and he led his people back to Khazad-dûm, reclaiming their ancestral home. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, feel free to like and subscribe for more content, and as always, please let me know how I can better improve these videos. Thanks, and as the elves say, Namarie.